Welcome to the Patriarchy Show. It's myself and this guy. He'll
Ian
say
Erickson.
Ian Erickson.
Ian
Yes.
Erickson.
Ian Erickson.
Oh, yes.
And we're talking about the patriarchy and, well, not the patriarchy, but patriarchy. Theoretically, I guess. I mean, we look at it as a patriarchy, but it's a good thing, right?
It's a good thing because when women take over, they vote their favorite movie as being a Harry Potter movie.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and we don't want that.
And is this in reference to a recent list or something?
Yeah, there's a list.
Tell us about it.
It was like the top 3 favorite movies for women of all time.
Of all time.
Were Harry Potter movies.
No kidding.
Yep.
That's shocking.
Men was like Blade Runner 2049, Over the River Kwai, it's Rocky. Women is Harry Potter.
Blade Runner, Over the River Kwai. Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, my favorite movies have nothing to do with The Godfather. I can't believe that wouldn't be number one.
I didn't see on the list. There was a 20 list and Godfather was not there.
Well, I'll be damned. Well, we got to look at that list now.
Where'd they get that?
You must have it, right? You have it on your telephone?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Well, he pulls that out. I'll remind you to follow me, Pat Dixon, at Pat Dixon on Twitter, and follow him elsewhere. It's Ian D. Erickson on Instagram. Okay. So what are the top movies of all time for the ladies?
Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Oh, of course.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Wouldn't have even known that was 2 different movies.
Pride and Prejudice.
Jesus.
Harry Potter.
They're lying too, by the way. I don't even believe them. It's like they think they're supposed to pick that.
Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Jesus, 3 out of the top 4.
No, here's another one. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Shitting me.
Frozen. Wonder Woman.
I like Frozen. Sorry.
Okay. I mean, I don't hate it. My 3-year-old watches it and sings the songs. Mm-hmm. Tangled, Hidden Figures. Oh, come on.
Hidden Figures?
You know that movie?
No.
The Hidden Figures movie?
Never heard of it.
Where they say that the reason why we went to the moon was because a bunch of black women were doing the math.
Oh.
That movie?
That's what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's number 9. Brokeback Mountain. The Hunger Games Catching Fire.
Now, remind me what Brokeback Mountain.
That's the gay one. The gay cowboys.
Oh, yes.
Gay cowboys.
Gay cowboys. That's a favorite of women.
Women love gay cowboys.
They like a love story, don't they?
Apparently. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Jesus.
Not done with the Harry Potter. The Theory of Everything. I think that one's about the Stephen Hawking. The Sound of Music. Despicable Me. That's a cartoon. So it's 2 cartoons.
Animated. A couple of animated ones. Yeah.
The Notebook. Beauty and the Beast. And Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Jesus.
Edward Scissorhands and The Blind Side.
Edward Scissorhands.
That's an interesting one to make the list.
Johnny Depp as Edward Scissorhands. Okay. Well, and what was it? The Blind Side? I don't know.
Yeah, The Blind Side. That was with Sandra Bullock.
Is she a football coach or something?
She adopts a fat black guy.
And yeah, sure.
That's what happens.
That happens all the time.
That happens. And he played for the Baltimore
kidding. That's
Ravens.
Happens every day. All right. So what about guys?
Men, go quick. For a few dollars more.
That's number 1.
Number 1.
For a few dollars more.
For a few dollars more.
The sequel to A Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah.
Sergio Leone.
Paths of Glory. That's really old. Das Boot. You ever see Das Boot?
It means The Boat.
The Boat.
I've never seen it.
Good movie.
I bet.
I love Nazis.
It's just 4 hours. It's 4 hours long. So I mean, like, it was a bit of a fucking challenge. I never have attempted it. You know what I mean? It's daunting. You're like, I don't have 4 hours.
Have you seen Lord of the Rings? I bet you haven't.
No,
because it's too long, right?
No. Yeah, probably. But I mean, Das Boot is literally well over 3 hours, I believe.
Raging Bull.
Great one.
Dangle. I'm not sure what that is. 2016.
Perfect.
Unforgiven. That's the cowboy one, right?
Yeah. It's directed by Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies. Movie. I would put Unforgiven up there.
The Bridge on the River Kwai.
All right.
Once Upon a Time in the West. 68.
Another spaghetti western.
The Thing. Platoon. Now, here's one of my favorite movies. Rocky.
Rocky's great.
What the hell is that? It's from 2007. It looks like it's Dutch. Ter Zamin Par. The Great Escape.
There had to be some gay guys who took this.
7 Samurai. Yeah, we didn't say it was straight, guys. Lawrence of Arabia, Casino, Blade Runner 2049.
No Goodfellas, but Casino.
Casino.
So 2 Scorsese movies there.
Yeah.
at least. I mean, there may be more that I'm not recognizing. Interesting lists. Yeah, I mean, there's a few things I don't recognize on the men's list. There's a lot of shit I don't recognize on the ladies list. So we just look at news at like whatever the internet tells us. Yes. In fact, you know what? We should make sure and do it super proper. We'll go to google.com and Google the word news, and it'll tell us what the number one stories are, the most important stories, starting with the Wall Street Journal, which I don't subscribe to, so we have to skip.
Yep.
And then the New Jersey one is the weather. We'll skip that.
Nope.
Look, these don't seem like the top stories. Suck. They don't. Let's go with the ones that are pictured here, and I don't subscribe to this either. Maybe it'll let me look at it. It's a New York Times story. A slow beginning for push to move homeless people off subway. That's a New York centric story about getting homeless people. Yeah, not on the subway, but they're around. Some platforms and trains had fewer people sleeping on them than normal on Tuesday, it says. But there were still many people taking shelter in the system. Yeah, a slow start to that. They're not really going to step into this with vigor. The idea is the mayor says that they're going to get homeless people off of the trains on the first morning rush hour since Mayor Eric Adams announced a sweeping plan on Friday to remove homeless people who shelter in the New York City subway. The transit system felt a little different. Ooh. Judith Williams, who's lived in and around the subway for years, says she noticed fewer people sleeping sprawled out on trains last couple of days. Maybe they're getting the message, she said Tuesday at a station in Brooklyn. Now, this is liable to be just a long story with a lot of quotes like that. At Penn Station, outreach workers in orange vests carrying clipboards fanned out in search of homeless people to help. You didn't have to look long in Penn Station, I'm sure. Nope. Police officers approached two men, one sleeping at the foot of a staircase, another lying on the floor, and told them they had to move. Manuel,
do that every 5 minutes.
Yeah. There's a couple of other guys waiting for those guys to move so they can take their spot. They're like, he's got that plum spot. Manuel Jesus Delgado and some of the other regulars who took shelter inside the Jamaica Van Wyck station in Queens. See, that's the last station they should give a shit about too. Oof. It's the last fucking station. It's the last station on the E. Nobody, you shouldn't care. Let's get the ones in Midtown taken care of first, but whatever. I suppose if they're riding all the way out there, they're riding far. It's far. Well, it goes by quick with a nap, I'm sure, or just sleeping late. The station in Queens, it took a look at the gaggle of police officers patrolling the platform and headed up an escalator. Well, what am I supposed to do when there are four of them standing there with guns and badges? Mr. De Jesus, 72, asked in Spanish. We can't stay there. Inside the station, Al Walker, 61, who's heading to work, said he was shocked that the platform, usually full of homeless people, was empty, except for riders hopping on and off trains. Mayor really got them on their toes, he said. But a sprawling subway system with how many stations in the New York City subway system? You're obviously 472 stations and thousands of train cars in service. It's hard to transform overnight, especially when people who have been sheltering in the system sometimes for years feel they do not have a more appealing alternative on a raw February morning.
Does New York City have shelters? I don't understand why they're like, you know what? This subway car better than a New York City shelter. Yeah, it is actually, because you're surrounded by more or less normal people. Yeah. Not other people that are fucked up like you who are going to cut you with a screwdriver or stab you with a screwdriver, a pen, anything, hit you in the head with a brick. There was one guy who went homeless, went to a shelter, and it sounded to me like he was kind of making a point of it. He was a school teacher or something. Right. He lost his job. I don't know what happened, but he was like, well, I guess I'll just go homeless. It sounded to me like that's what reading it in the paper, it sounded like that's what he meant. He goes to the homeless shelter. He has his bed, and someone at the shelter cut his head off and stole his iPhone. Well, why did he have an iPhone in the shelter? Because I guess he was tired of having a head. Yeah. Because, he'll never get a head. I love the victim blaming there. Yeah. Why did he have an iPhone in the shelter? Well, he didn't have it for long. And I'm sure that whoever stole it did not keep it for long. FaceTime never worked again. No. Well, poor guy.
Look, they're going to have a challenge doing that anyway. They're going to have it's be a rough time.
Eventually, Black Lives Matter will come out and start protesting the cops because
I can't believe that they're not.
Yeah, maybe because Eric Adams is doing it, and he told them, "Please be quiet, please. I'll do you a favor next week."
Yeah, makes sense. Eric Adams being our first black mayor since Dinkins back in the 90s, and he was the first one ever. So he's only the second black mayor.
And the first of the rest of the mayors of New York City in the future 100 years. You're never going to have a white mayor again in New York City.
Why do you say that?
Because this is what happened in Detroit, Baltimore, Philadelphia, every other big city. Once you have all black leadership, it kind of tends to stay that way.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, we had Dinkins, and then we had Giuliani, Bloomberg, and those two-termers, a two-termer, a three-termer. So that's 5 terms, 6, 7 terms of white mayors since then. I'm gonna shape this up a little bit and put national news because it's given me local news. And all right, so this will make more sense. That was our local story, and now we have the national. Democrats tune out on national news during Biden era. Percentage of Americans who pay a great deal of attention to the news by political affiliation. There's a little chart. Looks like blue would be their line because it is dipping way down. Are you telling me that this is normally how it is? Like in 2020, they were paying this much attention to the news right after 70%. The election, and I mean, come on, and that the Republicans have never paid more attention to the news than the Democrats until now. This minute.
Point. Yeah,
I don't believe that at all.
And it looks like the independent line is just below the Republican line.
Yeah, which is why they're independent.
Yeah,
because they're not convinced either way because they pay very little attention, I guess, would be the
busy working.
It says a new poll from Gallup and the Knight Foundation finds that younger Democrats are driving a huge decline in national news consumption in the U.S. Why it matters. It marks the first time since the study began in early 2018 that Democrats report having less interest in national news than Republicans and independents. Don't believe this has something to do with the fact that they are in control of the news, right?
Yeah, why pay attention to the news when you know what it's going to say?
It's the propaganda arm, right? Yeah. And you were only paying attention to the news when it's down on Trump, and you're like, shit. That's why, but I still say it's not as if they must have asked this question, and when they say national news, they must mean they probably listed a bunch of sources, like CNN, CBS, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, and list all those, right? One. Yeah. While respondents, how can this be that Fox is the number one station? Only idiot Republicans watch Fox.
Oh, dummies.
And they are the most watched in the nation by a lot.
Yeah, it's not even close.
So how is it that Republicans ever pay less attention to national news when their station, which is what they watch, I guess all these other ones combined, maybe, or should they're saying are more?
Maybe.
Doubt it. And I always watch shit from everything when I can. I'm not going to sit and watch CNN, but I see clips from it all the time because that's what we make fun of.
Yeah, you make fun of the clips. Jim Acosta saying something retarded.
Mm-hmm. While respondents across the political spectrum all reported a decline in interest in national news over the past year, Democrats' interest has declined the most, which is 34% saying they paid a great deal of attention to national news in 2021 compared to 69% in November 2020. They were not watching the same shit I was watching for sure.
Definitely.
Because they think that the election was, aren't Democrats the one that think that it was rigged? Yes. And we know it was a free and fair election.
Of course it was.
But these Democrats, and I think some of them, I'm not going to say they had a point. Because what are we going to do? Come out and say the election was rigged?
No, we would never do that.
That's like a Democrat thing to say the election was rigged.
Yell about Russia.
Yeah. But we know it was a free, fair election in our free and fair, open democracy. People know what I mean, right?
Yeah, they do.
So Democrats, they've declined, and the decline among Democrats 18 to 34 is staggering. Roughly a quarter, 24% said they pay a great deal of attention to national news, or did in 2021, compared to 70% in November 2020.
How much attention to the news did you pay between the ages of 18 and 21?
None.
Yeah.
Rather none. Is there something less than none?
Yeah.
That was how much?
Whatever that number is.
Yeah.
That's you.
But that was 18 to 34. So yeah, I didn't pay a great deal.
Neither did I. Yeah. Nobody. I don't think anybody did.
Here's a list of the least visited national parks in the United States. Oh, that's the travel site. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks very much. That's a very important story. Let's skip that and go to Putin orders troops to separatist regions and recognizes their independence.
Go Russia. Go Russia.
Why are you cheering for Russia? You're just
because it's funny.
You're co-signing their what do you call it? Their story.
I'm not rooting for Russia.
Yeah, those rooting for Russia people. Hey, it's not letting me read it because it's the New York Times. So, all right, tune out the news during that. That's another one right there. There's two of those. There's two of those same stories. Another one about the Democrats.
Same wording.
Yeah, I guess what
Axios and Yahoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the FOP, National Vice President. We are fighting for the very soul of our country right now. The FOP. What is the FOP?
Fraternal Order of Police.
Oh yes, of course. The National Vice President, Joe Gamaldi, sounded the alarm on soft on crime Democratic policy Saturday on Lawrence Jones cross country. Here's what Joe Gamaldi says. Is there someone who is more out of touch with New Yorkers than DA Bragg and his staff? And that, of course, the new DA Bragg is very out of touch. His staff, likewise. A recent, Quinnipiac poll said that 74% of New Yorkers thought crime was a serious problem. And they're right. And the brain trust of the DA's office thinks we should go even softer on crime. And that's true. And to talk about the criminal, you mentioned the guy's been arrested 46 times, 46. And he was out on parole when he did this grand larceny. And the DA's office thinks it's a bright idea to actually reduce the charge. You do not cut a deal with a repeated felon like that, like this. And and he says, this is what do you call it? The vice president of the Fraternal Order of Police talking. He says, what it really tells the community and what it tells the victims is we don't give a damn about you. It certainly tells cops we don't care about the risk you're taking. So there you go.
So what do you think is going to happen to all these soft on crime Soros DAs around the country? Are people going to,
after they get reelected and stuff?
Yeah, like they're in there, they're entrenched. They have, Soros has given these people millions of dollars when their Republican counterpart is lucky to get like 10 grand at a brunch or something. It's fundraising. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's, look, I mean, the money is really what matters, isn't it, when it comes to an election? And Soros has got all the money when it comes to, look, I don't know why nobody ever caught on and go, oh, man, we really need to pump money into our candidate in the similar way. Because it's not that much. We don't have a Soros.
We don't have a Soros.
I mean, it depends on who you ask. Right. They think the Koch brothers, people still talk about it. One of them's dead. Yeah. So now it's just the Koch brother. And what's he doing?
They're super libertarian anyway. So
they don't care.
They could go either way.
They don't give a shit about law and order.
No,
I don't trust a libertarian for some reason. If you're a libertarian, fine, but you know what? You got to vote for somebody who's going to win. Yep. Stop trying to do this. It's a third party.
Want to hear something really cool? We're lax on social issues, but not lax on fiscal issues. Yeah, sounds great. Okay.
Yeah. They're just like, I've heard it said, what are they? They're Republicans who are obsessed with sex.
Pretty much. Sounds about right.
Republicans who do drugs.
Republicans that do drugs.
Republicans with no morality. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, a news story, is monitoring reports of a major trucker convoy heading to Washington, D.C. in advance of President Biden's State of the Union address on March 1st. After the so-called Freedom Convoy was broken up by police in Ottawa, D.C. is taking steps to prepare for the possibility that thousands of truckers will descend on the U.S. Capitol in the coming days. U.S. Capitol Police is handling the security preparations around Congress. Well, we know that they're great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they know.
Flawless record.
They do get a little upset if you call them a name and then they cry about it and stuff like that.
Tear up.
Or if, they'd have to do anything that requires any physical kind of potential harm, they just lose it. They lose it. They can't believe how disrespect they are.
Super affirmative action is going on with the Capitol Police.
And if anybody questions anything they say, you know what they say? They say, it's disgraceful.
It's disgraceful.
It's disgraceful. I drove my Ford truck here. It's disgraceful.
I'm in my Mac. The U.S. Capitol Police keep bothering me.
They kept coming after me. I was tased 3 times. Disgraceful. Stupid. That guy's an actor. So after the so-called Freedom Convoy, as I said, was broken up. So she says, we're monitoring the situation closely, but deferred to the USCP, which is in charge of security, the Capitol Police. Right.
All right.
So U.S. Capitol Police said last week they are, quote, aware of a Canada-style trucker protest coming to Washington. That's what they're going to do again. They're going to understaff them again.
Oh, yeah.
Let them into the Capitol. Come on in.
Everything's fine.
See if anybody falls for it this time. Like, we have an agreement all written up. Just come inside and sign it, all of you. I mean, you think they'll do that? Just like
let them in.
Have people that say, yeah. Now we're gonna, just for the cameras, we're gonna let you guys push these borders over. Make it seem like you're breaching it instead of just walking in.
So we have to give in to this agreement that you're gonna sign when you definitely are allowed in.
United States Capitol Police, the United States Secret Service have been closely working together to plan for the upcoming State of the Union, says the U.S. Capitol Police in a statement. The temporary inner perimeter fence as part of those ongoing discussions remains an option. However, at this time, no decision has been made, and they declined to offer anything additional on record, any additional on the record statements when asked by Fox News, blah, blah, blah. And they've requested support from the National Guard. Wow, maybe they'll actually go through with that this time.
Yeah.
Instead of
shoot them.
Can provide up to 400 troops. Only up to 400?
That's really low.
Seems like, of course, they'll all be carrying fully automatic weapons,
Sure.
I guess. So they could just cut everybody to ribbons. An organization called the KNK Foundation requested a protest permit from the National Park Service to allow 1,000 to 3,000 to gather in the nation's capital in support of convoys in Canada. So, yeah, all of a sudden they're very interested in tightening up security there. Make sure they don't. I don't know.
Nancy Pelosi's safe. AOC is safe. Our national treasures are safe.
Our national treasures.
Yeah.
Our national treasure females. Our national.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, they're such wonderful people. It would be a shame if anything were to ever happen to them.
I wish no harm on anybody, even them.
Wow, that's a big thing to say.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
To say, I'm not a violent person. I'm not a violent person. I don't.
We
condone
never
violence.
condone violence.
Never condone violence.
No,
violence, but if one of them trips, it hits their head.
No, violence is bad. And so our conspiracy theories.
Yes.
2 Black Hawk helicopters crashed near a Utah ski resort, and forcing the closures on the part of the mountain, but leaving no crew member seriously hurt. How did that happen? How did they crash and not leave? Says they crashed a few hundred yards, within a few yards of a Utah ski resort. 2 Blackhawks during a training exercise. The skiers on a nearby lift, they watched a huge cloud of smoke billow into the air. What are they doing training up there anyway? I mean, I'm sure they have to train all the time, but
yeah, they
sure
have to train somewhere.
Yeah. So I'm glad nobody's hurt. And whatever.
I heard Utah has really great ski resorts. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard.
Well, yeah, Utah, right?
Yep.
When they start saying Democrats tune out the national news, don't you think that's kind of like they're saying, hey, Democrats, you should be tuning out the national news.
Yeah.
Don't pay any attention right now. Nobody look. I mean, like, because the trend was, I believe, wasn't it the opposite for were so-called conservatives allegedly paying more attention?
Since 2018, they said it's the first time where Republicans are paying more attention than Democrats.
Yeah. And but ours has gone down as well. That line, or conservatives line, or the Republican, whatever. Everybody's showing.
No one
interest.
wants to see Joe Biden shuffle around the White House.
You think so?
No one wants to see that. You want to see Trump hanging out with Barron, playing some basketball.
Well, the headlines are a lot less dramatic now.
Oh yeah, that's for
sure. And he can do anything. Nobody has much comment on it. Joe Biden, didn't he fart in front of the Queen? Imagine how big of a thing that would be if Trump would have just.
Oh, their heads would blow.
Yeah,
their heads would blow.
It would be the fart heard around the world, and but in Biden's case, come on. You really want to go there?
He's an old guy.
You really want to go there?
Like, come on.
I mean, I think the news should be concerned with more important things
than farting.
But there was no ceiling on how lousy the news could get with Trump.
Yeah.
What did he say? He said shithole countries.
Yeah.
What about Biden being like, you dumb son of a bitch?
I don't even
muttering under his breath
he's
at these
a
reporters.
fake tough guy. I hate it. I hate fake tough guys.
He is a big fake tough
I
guy.
fucking hate it. If you're gonna be a tough guy, be a tough guy.
He might
He's a
believe
fake
it.
tough guy.
He kind of believes it.
I'll take him out behind the shed. Okay.
Yeah, I'd take him behind the gym. I mean, what a jackass.
Imagine Joe Biden punching you in the face.
I bet you he punched us harder than you think.
You think?
It's probably, yeah, harder. I think, I imagine you have really you have very low confidence in his ability to punch.
Yeah.
I think if there's one thing he still can do, it's probably,
You think he has a mean right hook?
No, I don't think he's good at it, but I think that he's, old guys, they've got muscle still sometimes. He's probably, I bet you he's exercised more in the last 5 years than I have. No question. If it's at all, he's done more than me.
Well, walking around New York is exercise, right?
No, not to the degree that I do it now.
Fair enough.
There's nothing to walk to.
You got that island. That's kind of cool. A man-made island. And that's it.
Right. Yeah. And that's you get over that quick. I've been out there 2 or 3 times. I'm done with it. Totally done with it. All right. Well, that's what's important today.
Yep.
So,
subscribe.
Yeah. Talk to you later.